Scrum Masters Elite_UK, a place for sharing honest perspectives on careers, growth, and integrity. If you find value here, please subscribe to the channel and stay with us on this journey.
It feels like a very real slice of how people stand in the middle of career choices, loyalty, and the desire to grow. When Jason Holland confirmed he would leave the Hurricanes to lead the Blues after the 2026 season, I didn't see it as a shocking transfer, but rather a continuation of a journey, a natural yet far from easy transition. What made me think the most was not the decision itself, but the way it unfolded, while the season is still ongoing, while the championship goal still lies ahead, and while relationships have not yet had time to close. I ask myself, if I were in that situation, how would I feel? Would I be calm enough to fully honor my current commitments while the future has already begun calling my name? From a personal perspective, I realize that people are often torn between two things: where we belong, and where we can become a better version of ourselves. For Holland, Wellington is not just a professional destination, but a part of memory, a place where he contributed to the 2016 championship. But Auckland, home of the Blues, represents a new challenge, a higher role, and an opportunity to redefine himself as a head coach.
I think the hardest part is not choosing to stay or leave, but how to stay when you already know you will go. Holland said his focus remains on helping the Hurricanes win the title. It sounds simple, but in reality, it is a test of professionalism and integrity. When someone has publicly declared their future elsewhere, every action in the present is easily scrutinized. Are they still fully committed? Will they keep tactical secrets? Are they still one of the team? And this is where I see the value of trust. Statements from both sides' leadership, from Carl Budge to Tony Philp, emphasize respect and confidence in Holland. It reminds me that in any organization, competence may open doors, but character is what earns trust, especially in the most sensitive moments. I also can't ignore the storyline this situation creates. The possibility of Holland leading the Hurricanes to a championship, then becoming their opponent in a Blues jersey, feels both unusual and compelling. It's like a closed loop that doesn't repeat. A person who is both a builder and someone who challenges his own legacy. If I put myself in the position of a fan, the emotions would be complex. Part of me would want to keep someone who has contributed so much to the team. Another part would understand that a coach's career cannot remain in one place forever. I've learned that love for a team should not turn into selfish attachment to the individuals within it. Sometimes, respecting someone means accepting their personal journey, even if it takes them to the other side.
For myself, this story makes me reflect on how I face turning points. I tend to want to fully close one chapter before moving to the next. But reality is not always that clear-cut. Sometimes, chapters overlap. One is current responsibility, the other is future opportunity. In those moments, what matters is not completely separating them, but maintaining consistency in one's values. I also think about the idea of a temporary peak. The Blues won the championship in 2024 under Vern Cotter, yet he still left to seek new challenges. It reminds me that success is not a stopping point, but merely a milestone. If we try to hold on to a golden period for too long, we risk getting stuck in the past. On the contrary, leaving while in a strong position is a sign of courage. At a deeper level, I see this story reflecting something very human. We are always the sum of our connections. Holland is not just a coach, he has worked with the All Blacks, contributed to building the Hurricanes, and will soon become part of the Blues. Each stage leaves its mark, and no connection is ever truly severed, they simply change form. From that, I draw a clear lesson for myself: don't see change as betrayal, but as expansion. A person may leave an organization, but what they contributed remains. And if they truly acted with integrity, they will always be remembered with respect, no matter which colors they wear.
For fans, perhaps the lesson lies in maturity of perspective. Sport is not just about winning or losing, but about human stories, about choices, responsibility, and how we face change. When we understand that, we become less extreme and more empathetic, and for people in general, I think this is a gentle reminder life does not always offer perfect choices. Sometimes we must choose between two meaningful options. In those moments, what matters is not which decision is more correct, but how we live with that decision, whether we do so fully, honestly, and responsibly. As I close this story, what stays with me is not whether Holland will succeed or fail at the Blues, or whether the Hurricanes will win the championship. What I remember is the image of a person trying to do their best in their current role while preparing for the future. It's not a comfortable state, but it is very real, and perhaps very familiar to anyone who has ever stood at a major turning point in life.
Scrum Masters Elite_UK bids you farewell for now. If you found value in this story about choices and integrity, don't forget to subscribe to continue accompanying us.